Hello friend, how is it going? Welcome back to Auto Resource YouTube channel. You are looking with me on 2013 Honda Accord LX. This one has 100,000 miles on the clock and the owner asked for 100,000 mile service. And he said one of the things he wants to replace are the spark plugs. If you want to see how easy it is to be done, stay with me in this video. I hope this angle of the camcorder will let you see everything perfectly how I do that. So I will start with 10mm socket, removing the bolts which are holding this plastic cover. So it's here, and it's here, and one more here. After that, you can lift it up like this. Be careful not to lose those bolts. This one doesn't want to go. I wonder why. Right, and you can lift it like this, the whole thing away. And that gives you a nice view of these ignition coils, which are above the spark plugs. And obviously they need to be removed. They are held also with 10mm bolts. So I have my little magnetic dish here, so the bolts are not just flying around. And we have 4 coils are loose. I will start with the number 4 right here. So I carefully pull this slightly up, which gives me better access here to push on this electric connector. You see it? Yeah, you do. You can also hear it. It clicks. So after that, when it's up, it's way easier for me to disconnect it, remove the coil, here you see the number 4, and put it on the side. It is recommended not to mix them, so keep them somewhere in the order so you know which one was which, or just put the numbers on it. Here is the number 3. I will carefully pop it up. When I can get my thumb here, it's easy to push away the electric connector. Number 3 is out. Look at the number 2 again. I don't want to damage anything, so pay attention always. Number 2. And here we have the number 1. Again, hopefully you can see it perfectly. And disconnect the connector, you heard a click, and the coil is out. Let me show you how it looks from the close-up. Now you might think why you are interested in looking into those holes. Well, this vehicle was running 100,000 miles. It's 7 years old, and I want to make sure there are not the oil seal leaking the engine oil into these spark plug tubes. Now about the tool which you will use. The normal 5/8 spark plug tool, which is 16mm, which you normally use on most of the vehicles, will not work. It's too big. You need 3/8 14mm spark plug tool. Let me demonstrate. This is the deep reach my snap-on, and look, it just keeps spinning and it's not grabbing the spark plug. You really need the 14mm, or we said a 3/8. Now it's engaged. Look at it. I will be able, oh yeah, and it's engaged, and I will be able to remove those spark plugs. And I will give you right here some really good advice. Please don't ever try to rush this and use the power tool for removing these spark plugs and being in a hurry. That's very dangerous. You don't know if the spark plug is stuck or something, and you don't want to strip it. Stripping the spark plug, which is tied in the aluminum head, that will be a huge problem. I can tell you that. You want to avoid it at any possible cost. So it's a little bit too short there. I will put another extension here so I don't scrape myself on it. And now counterclockwise. Let's go. Did you see? It was pretty tight. And despite the fact I feel it's loose and so on, I will not try to rush it and remove it with the power tool. Please do that for yourself always. Make it a rule. You will never regret that. And look, this new socket, that 14mm or 3/8, nicely holds that spark plug in it because there is that rubber ring inside. Now I can finally remove it. You can see it was the NGK. I bought the new spark plugs from Toyota dealer, so we will be actually putting in Densos. So today I bought these spark plugs from the dealer. They are relatively expensive, approximately $22 a piece, but I will always highly recommend to stick with these, which are Densos, or the NGKs, which we pulled out. As you can see, dealer sells a Densos. This is the spark plug itself. Hopefully the camera nicely show it. You can see the tip, how long they are, very thin, right? And it's a Denso DXE 22HQR-D11S. Now comes a question which people disagree on. I normally put this anti-seize, this one is copper based, very small amount of it on the thread. And the reason is that the spark plug will never get stuck in that head. It will not get seized and cause some problems later. And I really mean very tiny amount. I will be not soaking that thread in it. I will just put very little bit of it. Never touch the tips. Also never adjust these tips. It's adjusted from the factory. That's a thing of past. We don't do it on these iridiums, right? You don't want to ever touch the tips, adjusting it and scraping off that expensive precious metal. And I have a brand new Denso. I will insert it in this special socket. It has a rubber inside which grabs this part and it holds it for me, so it will be not falling down. Do you see it? It's perfectly in. So let's go and install it in the engine. And I will go back to the same advice I gave you before. Please don't try to rush this and try to use the power tools to speed up this process. No. Carefully, without banging that tip on anything, drop it down and start feeling that thread is nicely engaging in the head, and there will be no problem. This is a long thread, so be patient and keep turning it by the hand until you will hit the end. I checked for this engine, which is that Earth Dreams Technology iVTEC. I checked for the torque numbers for these spark plugs, and the sources were varying between 18 Newton meters and 22 Newton meters. So today on this vehicle I will use 20 Newton meters. As you can see, hopefully it's set at 40, so I will lower it to the 20 and I will finish the torque. After I couldn't move it anymore by the hand, I will use this torque wrench. Hold this extension and carefully finish the job. Did you hear that? It's a 19.7. That's definitely good enough for me. And I can remove the torque wrench from that extension and pull up the whole thing. This is a locking, I'm not sure if I said it, this is a locking extension, so this socket never gets stuck inside of that spark plug tube. So this will not separate. I will continue doing exactly the same thing on the number 2. I have successfully torqued all 4 spark plugs, so I will start putting the coils back. I will go in reverse order than we did it. So I will start with number 1 I will always clean it. I'm looking at them if they are not burned somewhere and so on. So this is the correct orientation, and when I'm going down, when it works for me here, I will carefully engage that electrical connector. I will be careful around this area, and you should hear the audible click. Listen. Did you hear that? Perfect. So the same with the number 2. Just clean it and careful installation. And where is that clicking? You heard that, yeah? And I nicely push them down on top of those spark plugs. Here comes the number 3. Same thing. Don't see any burns or anything. This is the orientation. This one's easy. Click, and we have still number 4. As I mentioned before, try to not mix and match them. The engine's computer is used to receiving certain data from each cylinder, so we don't want to trigger check engine light or something if there is a very slight variance between them. Click. So I have nicely pushed them down. They are bottomed, and I will keep installing carefully these bolts, 10mm bolts, which are holding them down. Just have to make sure it's correctly turned and the bolt is catching that thread. Is this one also good? If the bolt is not getting in the thread correctly, you need to turn it slightly and make sure it fits there. See, this one goes there too. And this one, the last one, was also incorrectly positioned. And maybe, and just maybe in this case, on the low torque, if I put it on the number 1 low torque, I could use the power tool and speed up this moment. Perfect. Really quick look, all the coils are correctly in the place, so we can bring back that cover, which is waiting for us right here. And here we are with the bolts nicely hanging there. I can carefully lower it, observing the correct position. Again, I will always start the thread, feeling the thread by the hand, because you don't want to strip something. You can even remove the socket from your power tool and just make sure that it goes nicely straight in, and only after that I will start using the power tool. I believe I did a good job. Again, low torque. You don't want to damage anything. And here you go. We have it perfectly installed. And I want to share this with you because you don't need any expensive special tools for it. It's relatively easy to get to it, and with a little bit of skill I think everybody can do it by themselves. So if you like the video, please give it a thumb up and make sure you are subscribed. I will keep filming a lot of Honda content for you on this channel in the future. Thanks for watching. Have a great day, my friend.